Welcome back. Here with us on Trading Hour, and the range-bound session continues in the market. Absolutely flat at the index level. More about individual stocks. Rohit Srivastava of Vintage Charts is with us now. Rohit, good morning. Good to have you on the show. So, I was just mentioning this to Prashant as well, that last 1 week, I've been away for 4-5 days, but it's absolutely ranged on the market, and the market has hit a bit of a pause. So what do you think of it, and do you think this is going to last a while, or would you expect a breakout on either side anytime soon?
So if you ask me, I think almost for 2 or 3 weeks, we've been gyrating plus or minus the 15,600, 700 mark, right? We've gone below it, we've gone above it, then we've gone below it. And so broadly, we've actually done nothing, I think, since the second week of June. Okay, so that's almost 2-3 weeks. We've really not made significant, meaningful progress on the upside. So that's how long this consolidation has been. So it may sound like, it's only pulled back for a few days, but it's actually been sort of flat. So my sense is that it's about time that we set up for a breakout. We are past the June expiration. We are now into July. Now, of course, it's earnings season, and a lot of people will have direct concerns about whether the earnings season outlook is really any good, because the impact of the second shutdown is going to show up. But when we just look at price action, what it has led to is a complete contraction in volatility. And as traders, we look at these as cycles. You have a contraction in volatility, then you have an expansion in volatility. So you've seen an extreme contraction. If you just measure the implied volatility or the standard deviation of the market, which we plot as Bollinger Bands on our charts, we've really narrowed down, and the Nifty is at the bottom end of that range. So the bottom end is at around 15,625. That's the bottom end. So being so close to that, I would sense that we are very close to a bottom from where the next lift off back to new highs, with my earlier view of going towards 16,200, I think is still due to start. There's no sign that this is breaking down. In fact, the broad market continues to beat us. Today, the small cap index is back to an all-time high. And so when the market internals are strong, then calling this top or something that would further decline is probably taking the wrong side of the trade. The right side would be to look at the decline as the opportunity from where we can get a lift off again. So that's where we are right now. I think the risk reward is very, very favorable to the bullish side, and we would position ourselves accordingly.
Position where, Rohit? What do you, you've been talking about metals, very bullish there. You've been talking about power stocks, public sector stocks. These largely sugar, for example, you had identified some time back. Stocks all went berserk. Are those still areas you would concentrate in?
Yes. So from a medium to long-term perspective, I think all of those remain in focus, the PSU, power, and metals, as you mentioned. We are seeing immediate action in the, I think, the soft commodity space, which is like sugar and coffee, because I think they also fall under the mid and small cap area. So today you might see stocks like CCL Products, for example, making new highs, and then there's Tata Coffee. Those are the direct beneficiaries of rising coffee prices. And sugar, of course, we know I think the bigger ones which come into focus are always Balrampur and Dhampur sugar. And on the back of that, many smaller ones have also started to make noise. But if you look at sugar prices, last 2 days, again broken past all the previous highs and, making 52-week highs again. So I think that rally in the soft commodity related stocks is continuing. So that, I think, is an immediate trend. The metals, PSU, power space has sort of cooled off, and metals has seen a pretty deep correction on the back of the dollar, but all ready and waiting for some trigger to take off is what I sense over here.
Maybe China will provide that trigger. Who knows? When everyone's waiting for that export tax or the hike in the tax that they're looking at on some ferro products, I believe. In any case, the other sector where the buying has come back is pharma. Rohit, and at least over the last 4-5 days, that's where the gains are. Do you see any fresh trades here?
Yes, I think that is completely right. The pharma index has taken off for the last 2-3 days high, and in doing that, I think the previous high that it made in the month of May, from where it pulled back a bit, has also been surpassed. So very clearly, you started a new rally in pharma, which should not be over so easily. And I would probably look at in the large ones, something like Cipla. It's a slow, steady mover. I mean, it's not the one where you look for fast price action. So that's the one thing to know about pharma. If you like those slow and steady gains, then you stick with pharma stocks. But if you're looking for, that those fast moves, then that's when you end up going to the small cap or individual other sector leaders that have been there on a 6 to 12 month basis. But so pharma is the quiet one, which I think is, simply playing along. And this new move is very clear sign that the pharma stocks continue to move up.
Rohit, this is not strictly technical, but the slew of IPOs that we are seeing, right? Just incredible. I mean, it dwarfs anything we've seen in any previous year. And we're only half year done now in 2021. And the lineup is even stronger for the rest of the year. The action we've seen in small caps, mid caps, new highs every day. As I said, this is not strictly technical, but what would you make of all of it, if anything at all, and implications for the secondary market?
So I wish I could show some charts. There are, some data points, for example, like IPOs require a certain type of measure when you want to compare the kind of activity today versus before. You not only want to look at number of issues or the size of issues, you need to look a bit of both, because sometimes we can just add up value, but value might not be the right component when your GDP has expanded and when your whole liquidity and market cap, all of those numbers are expanding over time when you're comparing 10, 20 years. And when you want to look at IPO type data, you want to compare it to the previous bull market. So what happened in 2008 and then 2000. And having been around long enough, I've seen crazy times in IPO where, I joined my first job on an IPO desk and we were doing 12 to 15 IPOs a week in terms of just analysis, and there were probably more than that on the street, which was 1994 or 93, and probably 92 was similar. So those were crazy IPO times. So in those type of numbers, we'll probably not see it again. But what we do see is large value IPOs happening simply because, companies now don't get listed at infancy. They get listed after they become big. And then the value of the IPO is, significantly raised by the merchant bankers and investment bankers. So that's why then that value add up. How should you really look at this compared to before to really say that this is an overheated market? Is a question mark in itself and requires a separate study. Now, when you talk about mid caps, the way I look at it is I look at the relative strength. You can simply do a ratio of the mid cap index to the Nifty. And so one of the reasons why I say in 2018 I would be more bearish is that ratio was at the top end of its range or near the all-time highs. That ratio declined all the way into the depths of 2020 in the pandemic and has probably only gone up not even or close to maybe 40% of that entire decline. Okay, so we are not past the 50% mark. And so when you're looking at strength of mid caps versus the Nifty, if you're not halfway through the previous decline, it's very early to say that this run up in mid caps is overheating. So it's just something to participate. At this point, it's something that you should be participating in. That's the answer.
Rohit, a quick word on what's happening globally as well. I mean, the important markers that you will look at.
So apart from the dollar, see, everybody is now focused on the dollar. I think down the street, even retail investors have become aware that, the dollar is the thing to watch. And if you look at the last 3-4 days rally in the dollar, you see that it's not had a significant impact either on US equities, commodities, base metals have stopped making new lows, precious metals stopped making new lows just 2 days ago. And so clearly there's a divergence. So whenever there's a divergence, it means that the market is sort of not paying too much attention to it, or it's near a trend reversal. So I think it's time where market's not paying attention so much to what the dollar is doing standalone. So that's a part. Now then you start looking at US stocks. Are they in a risky zone? So what I see in US equity is very similar to what I see in Indian equity, which is a lot of rotation. So if you just go back 2 months, March and April, you had the NASDAQ, actually going down every day and creating fear. But what was doing well? You had the industrials doing well, you had the metals doing well, you had the banks doing well, because rising bond yields were directly benefiting the banks. And so that bond yield scare was essentially pushing down tech stocks, but pushing up banking stocks. So you had rotation. Now, what are you seeing over the last month or two? You've actually seen weakness in banks, but you've seen NASDAQ go back to all-time highs. And the Dow, which was down, has actually picked up over the last week. So what you're seeing in the US market essentially is rotation from one sector to the other, based on whatever the underlying trends are. but you're not really seeing an outright collapse. So you can't really look at one part of the market, and feel that, oh, this part is down. So when the tech was down, people start feeling, well, is the market going to fall? That's not what is happening. What you're just seeing is sector allocation happening, and that's causing these wild swings between each of the sector indices. And you should at least watch 5 to 6 sector indices, even for the US, to really understand what is going on.
Okay, all right, Rohit. Thank you very much. It's always a pleasure to have you on the show. Thanks for joining in. You have a good weekend, and we'll chat again soon. Well, that's a view on the technicals, and the market has done absolutely nothing. The mid-cap index is, of course, much better off today. The advanced decline ratio also continues to improve. But at the index level, there's absolute sort of dead heat, no movement whatsoever. We'll take a break on that note. On the other side, don't go away if you have any interest in the power sector, because we have a very interesting discussion lined up. Corporate India is rushing to add renewable capacity. What does this mean for generation companies? How can you perhaps look at some of the distribution entities? We will have 2 experts join in to decode all of this for us. Sumit Kishore of Axis Capital and Shubhadeep Mitra of JM Financial. So stay tuned for that.